What's cracking, everybody? You're back with Mr. Berger, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at this Hog Lightning deck that I've been using for a little while now. It's very similar to the recent Hog deck. It was a 2.8 Hog-Cycle deck that I shared recently, and the only major difference, or actually the only real difference, is that instead of Fireball, I am now running Lightning. Lightning is a really fun spell. I love it, and I like using it like so. You can see right there I used it to take out that wizard to shut down any potential push that he might have been trying to get going on the left lane there. And it's really fun because you can take out a lot of support units with it really easily, and you can continually chip away at their tower with it. You can also destroy things like pumps really easily. It's a great counter to elixir pumps. So it's just a really fun card to play with all around. And they nerfed it a while ago, but they buffed it again back to its former glory. It's got its full radius again, its full range, and it's just a really great and fun card to play with. And it fits really well into Hog decks for a number of reasons. One, of course, naturally it can counter things like pumps really well, so it gives you a reliable, consistent answer to any really heavy beatdown deck, which is the Hog's worst enemy, right? Hog-Cycle deck's worst enemy. Now, furthermore, since it counters things like witches and wizards and musketeers and all kinds of stuff like that really well, you can send your Hog in and you can save. I know it's like a 10 elixir push, but if you can get value from it, it's worth it, right? You can save that lightning, and as soon as they put down their heavy unit, like their wizard or whatever they might put down to counter your Hog, then you can lightning it right away. And sometimes they'll get lucky and you can get two things, or get like even their mini tank and their wizard. Chip away at their Valkyrie or their knight. Maybe it won't kill it, but it'll do a good chunk of damage to it, and it'll get their wizard or their musketeer. And on top of that, it's continually chipping away at their tower. So this synergy with the Hog and the lightning works out really well. And do keep in mind again, that's a 10 elixir push. 4 from the Hog, 6 from the lightning, so it's pretty expensive. But other than that, it's a cheap deck. You've also got that zap there, so of course the lightning plays the role of countering heavy units or support units, like all the ones that I mentioned earlier, whereas the zap plays the role of countering things like the skeleton army or the minion horde or the Goblin Gang, which are other natural counters to your Hog Rider. So other than the lightning in there, this is pretty much played like a Hog-Cycle deck. You do have that element of zap bait in there, and I discussed this in the other video that I did on this deck. So if you want to go and look for more in-depth strategies and tips on strategy for this deck or a very similar deck to this, I would recommend taking a look at that 2.8 Hog-Cycle video that I did recently. But this video, for the rest of this video, it's probably going to be talking more about just like the specific choices that I make and, spectating the gameplay and talking about that, kind of casting over it, if that makes sense. Now that I've discussed that lightning and the specific role that it has in this Hog-Cycle deck. Now, I don't know, guys, lightning might be my new favorite card. Let's take a look at how I play the lightning in this particular match. You'll see in the last match I used it pretty much every chance that I could get to counter his witch or his wizard and chip away at the towers as well, because just that one swing from the Hog or that one lightning bolt onto the tower, all of those add up and you can do a whole ton of damage to the opponent's tower. And you can see I actually opt to send the Hog in there even though I see his wizard coming down, because I know that he'll probably put something else down to counter the Hog, and I'll be able to lightning all three of those things, the tower, the counter, and the wizard. That's exactly what happens. And so I was able to lightning that mini P.E.K.K.A, and the mini P.E.K.K.A actually survives with a sliver of health there. Gets one swing off of my tower, which is pretty deadly. I'm a little bit late with the Ice Spirit there, but it doesn't matter anyway because he counters it all with a Knight. Knight's another one of my favorite cards and long since has been. And, that's a great example of how to use it. It's a very cheap card, it only costs 3 elixir, has a whole ton of health. It has a really solid, reliable, counter attack. He does a good chunk of DPS, quite honestly. And so, it's just a good card all around. You can see that he uses zap on my Goblin Gang there, so I know that if I get bats back in rotation, you won't have that zap for those bats. So what I'm going to do here is send in the Hog behind the Knight. I'm going to send the bats in behind that, and I might as well just send in the Ice Spirit for a little bit extra chip damage or push or whatever we have there. So, if I didn't mention it, guys, I got to level 13 recently. I probably should have mentioned that earlier in the video, but hey, it was awesome. I leveled up those bats to level 13, and I got my account up there as well, or my King Tower up there as well. Alright, here I use the Mega Minion to counter the Miner. Now, it isn't a super direct counter, but it shuts it down pretty well. And you'll notice I'm not always using my Hog all the way into the right side of the bridge. Sometimes I place it right behind the Knight because I want it to be able to successfully push the Knight. Give it a little pig push there, and kind of get the Knight up there quicker as well. And look at that effective lightning. It destroyed the wizard, chipped away at the tower, and even got his Hog at the bridge. Because I placed it so low there that when he's placed his Hog down at the bridge, the lightning actually was, it has a wide enough radius that it caught that Hog in there. So it worked out really well. I got lightning again. He keeps trying to place his wizard somewhere where the lightning can't hit it, but it doesn't quite work out. I keep using it right below the tower, so that it gets that tower there, and then gets whatever he puts down below it. So it got the mini peck at that last time. Here he's getting a little bit desperate and going for an offensive push with the Hog Rider and the Knight and the Fireball, but it actually works out pretty well for him, and he does manage to get my tower, and he stays in the game because of that. So I'm going to go ahead and be aggressive here in the left, and he does a good job of shutting down my Hog Rider with the mini P.E.K.K.A. But since I sent in that Ice Spirit and the King Tower was distracted by other things, my Hog Rider actually managed to get 2 swings off on his tower, which worked out really well for me. I've got the Goblin Gang here to counter all of his mini P.E.K.K.A. and his Knight, and I gotta be careful for the splash damage from the wizard, so I actually used the Hog there kind of defensively, if that makes sense, so that it distracted the wizard, and the wizard was auto-attacking the Hog so that it didn't splash my Goblin Gang, and didn't splash my, what else do I have in here? The bats is what I was thinking of. Goblin Gang again, he's gonna counter the mini P.E.K.K.A. Of course, he does a zap to get the Goblin Gang, and I kind of try to use that Hog there to counter the mini P.E.K.K.A, but it doesn't work out. It connects to the tower a little bit, but the Hog goes in and connects to the tower, and I use the Knight in the pocket to kind of support it. And here I got to play really solid defense, so I'm going to go ahead and send in the Hog actually to cycle it out and to put a little bit of pressure on because I want to try to chip away at his tower. And he gets really close, and I managed to play successful defense here, and I'm hanging on to the lightning, and he's almost going to get me with the mini P.E.K.K.A, but I get just enough elixir. I use the lightning in the top left corner so that he doesn't use anything to try to lightning rod it, and it actually is successful and gets the tower down just before he gets to my tower and destroys it. Alright guys, and to end tonight's video, I'm going to show you this this replay of this match that I played that got me up to my current personal record, my current highest that I've ever gotten. So I'm pretty proud of that. So let's see how it goes here. And this is the same deck that I'm using here. I cycle with the Ice Spirit as an opener. That's usually a pretty reliable move. It only costs 1 elixir, and it's not too risky, and it has the potential to counter something, and like it did there with his Miner. And you can see here, this is going up against a Golem deck, so I gotta be careful. And I actually managed to connect to the tower, and I used the lightning to interrupt the Inferno Dragon so that my Hog gets even more swings off on the tower. The Mega Minion goes in behind the Hog, and the Mega Minion combined with that Hog absolutely obliterates that tower. But now I've got a Golem, a Baby Dragon, and an Inferno Dragon to answer. The Inferno Dragon was almost dead, so I actually managed to kill it with just, like my bats and everything there. But I've got to watch out for that Wizard and that Baby Dragon behind the Golem, because the Golem is just an insane tank. I use the Hog Rider to kind of distract his support units and finish off that tower there on the right side. But I know that I'm going up against the Golem deck now, and he has this huge potential for this massive snowball push, and he can just, absolutely wreck me in double elixir time. So I got to be kind of careful and kind of be aggressive so that he doesn't have that potential to build up that huge push. So at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm definitely in an elixir deficit right there, so I didn't want to spend too much, but maybe I should have been a little bit more aggressive. Not the best play there with the bats. I put them too far up in front of the tower, but he actually fireballs the bats and the Ice Spirit there, so that worked out pretty well for me because that's a positive trade for me. And look at that, the Hog Rider is getting an insane amount of damage off on that left tower there because he invested so much elixir, the 8 elixir into the Golem on the right side. But I do have to be careful of that Inferno Dragon, because if the Inferno Dragon connects to the tower, it'll just absolutely destroy it. So I counter it with the Ice Spirit, easy counter for the Inferno Dragon, use some bats to finish it off. I'm thinking about maybe lightninging this thing, but I decided to go for playing defense instead, so I used the Knight to defend against the Goblin Gang, and then I used the Mega Minion to destroy the Miner because it does so much damage. Mega Minion kind of chips away at that Wizard there. I think that zap was actually a misplay, and the Ice Spirit was just a bad play. And here I've got to be careful, and I've definitely got to make sure to take out that golem there. But at the same time, I'm being a little bit aggressive with my hog, because every time I send in my hog, he's got to answer it, or else it'll do an insane amount of damage to his tower. And in having to answer it, he has to invest elixir into it, which kind of stymies his push that he has with the golem there. So I managed to, even though he puts a golem down, I managed to kind of play defense by playing offense, if that makes sense. Alright guys, that is it for this Hog Lightning video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I always appreciate it. Leave a comment in the comment section below if you have any questions or anything you'd like to see, or so on and so forth. Alright guys, thanks and have a good night.